I heard that you're afraid that AI is gonna take your job. As you can see, I'm really afraid too.
In this video, you'll learn what skills are, why yours don't work, and how to steal already existing skills and use them in your own work.
Oh yeah, by the way, AI is doing my job right now while I'm enjoying this pizza. Most people today want to learn AI just to get a quick payout. Unfortunately, that's not how it works. Now, I was also one of the founding engineers in AI startup that got acquired for $2 million. So there is a good chance that I probably know what I'm talking about. And by the end of this video, I'll show you how you can make AI work for you while you join me for some pizza.
Topic of today's video are skills. When we're giving skills to our Claude, we're giving it right amount of knowledge for a specific action. Now that pretty much covers what skills are, but have you ever saw a skill? If you have, now you're gonna learn something new. So here on the screen, we can see anatomy of a regular skill. Each skill has two or more parts. So the first part is this skill MD Frontmatter. In this part, we are giving skill its name and its description. Keep in mind that this description we're not writing for ourselves. We are writing this description for Claude. So apart from describing what the skill does, we also have to tell it when to use the skill. But don't worry, we're gonna cover that later. Next part of the skill is its body. So that's this part here. And here, pretty much, we would put the workflows, rules, and examples of the action that we want Claude to do for us. Now, why does skill look like this? Why does it have two parts? Well, before skills, if you wanted Claude to do a specific action that you would just write in a file, the Claude would load that whole file into its context. So first of all, you would be wasting a lot of context and you would be hitting your Claude limits every 5 minutes. The whole ideology behind the skills is when Claude first loads the context, when you start conversation, it will only load this part here. If you didn't screw up the description, whenever Claude feels like you want him to execute a specific action, he would pretty much read the body and then he would have the whole context only when he really needs it. That's the reason why we need to structure the body of our skill. This is one of the possible ways you can structure it. So you can make a multiple folders inside your skill, and in each of these folders, you can put the pieces of the context of the body and then use the body just as a description and the index for the files that are actually living in these folders here. Okay, cool. Now when we know what skills are and how they look like, let's figure out when do we need them. The good analogy to follow here is shown in this graph right here. So let's say that you're just chilling with your friends watching TV, and then you guys hear a word that nobody knows what the hell does it mean. Now, if you want to ask Claude, what does it mean? That's probably not something that you're gonna need in the future, so you probably don't need a skill for something like that. On the other side, if it's related to your work, then you might need a skill. But even if it's something related to your work, there is a still decent chance that you might not need a skill. Let's say that every day you have to write personal emails. So Claude, basically as the time goes, he learns a lot about you and he stores that data in the memory. So you don't need to make a skill to tell Claude who you are. But if the process is more complicated, where let's say you would need to analyze the last quarter's financial sheets and then based on those analysis to draft an email and send to your boss, then you should definitely make skill for something like this. Why? Well, first of all, it's a multi-step process, and second, you would need it at least 4 times a year. Okay, so now we're gonna go over what you need to put in each part of the skill. First thing, description. When it comes to description, you're not trying to remind yourself after you fell from bike what the skill is about. So you're not gonna say something vague like helps with documents and files. There is a lot of things that Claude can use to help itself with documents and files. And trust me, poorly written skill is probably not going to be the first place that he will take a look into. So instead of writing something like this, you would still explain a bit what skill is about, but majority of the focus here should be in using invocation words. Invocation words are explanation to Claude when he should use something or when he should not use something. Next is the body of the skill. So in the body, you're not writing your resignation letter, you're writing step-by-step workflow with references to other files that contain other workflows. You do this in order to make workflow more deterministic. So apart from skills being explanation to Claude how to do something, we also want skills to make Claude always do the same things. So we know approximately how the output is gonna look like. We're still working with LLMs, so output is gonna be a bit different every time, but trust me, we're definitely having more control here than we have here. Now let's talk a bit about skill MD size and structure. So think about this example. Your company has bunch of SOPs. So you want to make unified company-wide skill for all the SOPs. The wrong way of doing this is taking SOPs for all departments and just putting them into skill.md. This will bloat your context. What you should do instead, you should make centralized skill.md file which will have just the core workflows that are same for every department. The way that you send an email, the way that you do security training, something like that. And then in references folder, you can put specific workflows for each department in different files. So that accounting has its own file, IT has its own file, business operations have their own file. And then you can have more folders, like in this case, assets, where you can put some templates, let's say like email template or something like that. What separates okay skills from amazing skills are edge cases and examples. When Claude executes your skill, sometimes it may make mistakes, sometimes something will feel a little bit off. And in that case, you should check out the output and figure out what went wrong. And then add it back to skill.md as edge case or as an example, so that in future, when you want Claude to execute the same thing, it will have more context and it won't make the same mistake again. But the most important thing, and I'm mentioning this for the third time, is to have trigger words in description. The way to know if you have enough trigger words in description is to test out your skill once you make it. So go into Claude Code and ask it to perform specific action without mentioning that it should use that skill. And if it uses that skill, that means that you probably have enough trigger words. If it doesn't use that skill, then you might want to revisit this. Okay, enough talking. Let me show you how to add skills to Claude Code. Once you are inside Claude Code, you would go to this Customize tab here, and you would go to skills. When you click this plus button, there is multiple ways to add skills. What I saw online, most tutorials, they show you how to create with Claude, which is basically you would just open chat and you would tell it, hey, create me skill for this and this, and it will create skill for you. So there is nothing crazy there. Or some other tutorials would show you how to write skill instructions. And as long as you can read, you're good to go, because everything here is pretty much self-explanatory. But now what I haven't seen people actually explaining, but it's really important, it's how to use somebody else's skills. Now, if you ever try to make a website with Claude or any other AI, it would probably look something like this. So this gradients, the way that it centralizes the text, the font. Yeah, it's funny, I saw really a lot of websites like this. If you don't want your website to look like this, and you're not a programmer, there is a solution for you. So the first thing that I do when I figure out that I need a skill, I'll always try to find whether there is any third-party skills available before I create my own. The circumstances are that I know exactly the name of the skill that I need for this specific case. The name of this skill is front-end design skill. Now, if you're not technical, what I'm gonna show you, it's probably gonna look a little bit scary for you, but it's really not. When you do it a couple of times, it's totally alright. The way that people usually store their skills is on GitHub, and GitHub is just the fancy website that programmers use. So when you see some skill on GitHub, it usually looks something like this. So yeah, here is the table with name and description, and then here is the skill. There is better skills for front-end design like UI UX from Vercel, but this one should do work for some basic landing page that majority of the people would need. To get this skill in our Claude Code, the way that we're gonna do it is we would hit this download raw file button, we would save it on desktop, we can give it a name, something descriptive, we would click save here, and then once we're back in the Code, we would hit upload skill and we would just select the skill. And now we can check out the skill. And whether this skill is the best skill for front-end design, that's not the point here. I just wanted to show you how you can easily get skills from GitHub to your cowork. When you're adding skills to Claude Code, it's a little bit different process, and I'm gonna explain that in one of my next videos, so make sure to subscribe. And now just to check whether this skill will work for us, we can just prompt Claude to create a website for us, which, if you didn't know, you can also create the websites with Cowork, not only Claude Code, but you should probably use Claude Code for this. So now once we hit let's go, it should invoke this skill. And as we can see here, it's using our front-end design skill. So that's pretty much it. It's easy as that to just download third-party skill that somebody actually put the time into making and use it for our own use case. Okay, Claude has now finished with creation of our landing page. So let's check what it did. Nice. I mean, it's still not the best, but it's not using that ugly purple gradient that majority of websites that have been vibe coded with Claude are using. So yeah, it still looks better than this. So I'm satisfied with these results. Now, if you're still here, there is a good chance that you like working with Claude. If that's the case, make sure to check out my school community, where you will learn how to make business automations with Claude and sell them for real money.